Steve Gamache here with a Chef Knives to Go quick look product video on the special left-handed versions. Kitaoka Lefty, balloon number 2 Yanagiba. This is a 300 millimeter, right, their longest knife. The core steel is Aogami or blue number 2 carbon, and the heat treat rating is about 63 to 64 Rockwell. The construction is an iron cladding, or it's a reactive cladding over the top of that blue number 2 core. And again, this is a lefty single bevel, so you've got the left side of the knife as you hold it, and the right side is basically flat with a slight concave, known as an urusuki, I believe this is the name, finish. And when you sharpen the knife on this side, you actually lay it flat on the stone, and you wear a little bit at the spine and then right at the edge to mate the other side. And so this concave is there to keep food from getting suctioned too hard onto the surface to make it easier to slice with this knife. And then the left side on this one, again, is a special version. Normally the single bevel is on the right side of the knife for right-handers. So this is the left side of the blade. And the weight on this knife is 194 grams, 6.9 ounces. The blade length is 290 millimeter. So this is a little under 300. All their knives are slightly under the standard sizes as indicated. And the overall length is 17 3/4. Of course, it's a long blade. The spine thickness over the chin heel area is about 3.9 millimeters. It tapers down a little bit, but then holds that, which most of these do, tapers down as you get towards the front of the knife or the tip. And then, of course, when you hit the single bevel grind, the face of the knife ground down and the primary bevel, it'll thin out, of course, towards the tip. The height on this one is about 34.2 back at the heel. And then this has a left-handed D-shaped handle, just a basic hoe wood plastic handle, nothing fancy. You do get the traditional install with a little bit of the maki, showing that's that gap between the end of the knife and the actual tang, and a traditional install for a little gap here if you would like that. The handle's pretty cheap, but this is an inexpensive single bevel lefty, which normally you pay a lot of money for these, even premiums over right-handed knives, and so that's part of the cost-saving measure. The other part of the cost-saving measure is the blade road work, and these are really sharp out of the box. They put a secondary bevel on them, so they don't take the blade road just directly into the zero grind, but they do put a secondary bevel on the knife. And the backside looks to be flat ground and versus a micro bevel on that side. When you get to flattening the blade road, you may have slight issues with some high spots, low spots, and inconsistent grinds on these a little bit. They're a little bit rough out of the box, but with a little bit of work, sometimes a lot of work depending on the blade, you can get that blade road nicely polished out. See my 270 video for an example of one that I actually did. That's kind of part of what you give up on price, is they haven't put as much work into the blade at the factory as they do on the more expensive knives. The single bevel into the secondary bevel helps offset that to some degree, and they are pretty good performers out of the box. If you polish the edge bevel, it will probably smooth out the knife just a little bit and make it cut a little better to reduce the friction from the bead blasting on here that they've got and the finish that they have on it. But really nice knives. You can see the kanji engraved on that side, and then they've got some embossed kanji on that side. And you can see your flat grind, your urusuki here with the grind marks there and at the very edge. So this is concave on this side. Let's see, balance point, if it matters that much, is up here, but that's not an issue with these knives usually. And profile, of course, is going to have a long flat spot. This one looks like does have a little bit of an undergrind towards this area. So each knife will be a little bit different. That's the only one I've really seen that on in this particular group of knives. But so there you have a nice left-handed offering from Mark, the Kitaoka Lefty, balloon number 2 Yanagiba 300 millimeter.